Hello there. All right. Uh, Today I'm going to be presenting my What You Need to Know About AI as an Author workshop. For those who don't know, uh, I presented this workshop at the Atlanta Self Publishing Conference, and it's put on by the Atlanta Writers Club every year. Uh, and as I like to do whenever I present a panel for the or workshop for the first time, once I've done it for the people who have paid me to give it, I put it up as a resource on YouTube or on my website because I want folks who weren't able to attend to be able to get access to the content, or for those who were able to attend who want to, not have to take notes, they can just follow up later. Unfortunately, this took a little bit longer to get to than normally. Normally, I get it up within a week. That was back in April, I think. 2024 has been it's been a year, y'all. It's been about a decade in a year. It feels like. Um, and so um, if also just this will be the PowerPoint that is associated with this is hosted on my website that you can go a PDF version of it you can go download and click through yourself. So yeah, let's dive in. Uh, okay, what you need to know about AI as an author by me, Bob Magoo. Also, if I get weird for a second, you see me like, oh, what's going on? It's because I uh, I made this PowerPoint in PowerPoint initially, um, and then I don't have PowerPoint on this laptop. I have the free version that Microsoft just started, but it has ads that pop up. What the fuck? So every so often it just pops up an ad that I can't skip. You won't see it, but you'll see me probably like stare at the screen like what's going on, and I can't click through. So if you think, man, why hasn't he clicked through that slide yet? He's done with it. That's probably why. Oh man, I love software as a service. No. Okay. Topics. Here's where we're going to go. Going to talk about what even is AI. We're going to talk about the ethics around AI use, things to consider. I'm going to give you some blowback examples. We're going to talk about the ethical uses for AI as an author, talk a little bit about what the future might look like, and then kind of give some final thoughts. Why should you even listen to me? Um, So, why should you listen to me talk about AI specifically? I work in the tech field, often in compliance spaces. AI is something that I have to keep up with for work. Um, I also talk about this at a lot of events. Like I said, I taught this workshop for the Atlanta Self Publishing Conference, but I've been a panelist at a number of events talking specifically about AI, be it DragonCon or Conjuration, or a lot of the more nerd centric conventions across the Southeast. And I personally do use AI in what I consider to be ethical ways. They ain't writing my books, they're not making my covers, but we'll talk about it. Why should you listen to me about writing? Um, as I say here, by day I work as a poor technical writer. By night I work as a technically poor writer. Sing. Um, I'm perhaps best known as the author of the Jubal County Saga, which is about a redneck wizard in South Alabama with a crippling meth addiction. Um, so I started out being small press published in anthologies. I had a small trad deal with a micro press. I shifted to doing self publishing. Uh, I've put out 7 books now in my main series, and I recently signed a trad deal with Falstaff Books to put out a horror novel coming out late 2024, early 2025. Go get it. Okay, so I asked ChatGPT what we should talk about, and this is what it gave me. Yeah, I said fuck that, because it's real biased. Uh, it has a somewhat vested interest in supporting AI. Go figure. So what is artificial intelligence? Big picture, AI is simulated human intelligence, and it doesn't currently exist. Um, but we're going to call it AI because everyone else is. Okay. AI does not really exist, but it's kind of like my understanding, not a phone guy, but 5G isn't actually 5G. They just call it that. Um, it most 5G phones don't actually meet the like technical definition of 5G or something like that. Take this all with a huge grain of salt. But yes, okay. ChatGPT is not AI, but colloquially, it's AI. Okay, so broadly speaking, what you're going to run into, there's two types of generative AI, or two types of artificial intelligence: generative AI and LLMs, large language models. So, generative AI is all about content generation. Mid Journey, Stable Diffusion, those are kind of the two biggies. And you can see here, I just grabbed off Google Images. This is a Mid Journey prompt. Someone put in a prompt for I don't know what, but this is what they got. Large language models are essentially fancy autocomplete. So the one you've probably heard of is ChatGPT, but there's others like Llama and Palm. Um, Basically, your phone already has this in a very limited form. How these LLMs work is basically they are complex autocomplete. Um, Generative AI takes it ingests a lot of images and uses those to train to generate new images. Um, so we're just going to give an example here to kind of show how partly to show how rapidly this stuff is going on. uh, Midjourney. Again, these are Midjourney prompts. You can always tell. Well, I don't. I've only ever played around with Midjourney, but Midjourney. That's you see these four images. That's how it works. It gives you four images. You can tell it. Ooh, I really like this one, and it will generate four based on that one, and you can kind of get iterative from there. Um, it started in 2022. It's currently on version 6. Um, when I made this PowerPoint, hell, that was only a couple months ago. It could be on version 7 for all I know. Um, but it generates images from your written prompts and it uses Discord. Uh, so you put in there, I want a redneck wizard, and it will generate images of what it thinks you want. And then when that comes back and it's like, that didn't really that's not really what I want. You tweak it. You put in like, oh, he's too pretty, so I want an ugly redneck wizard, um, and you just go from there. ChatGPT also started in 2022. It's a chatbot, large language model, uses your text-based prompts to generate text responses. Again, it's fancy autocomplete. How autocomplete on your phone works is you're typing up a sentence and it thinks, oh, the most likely next word is this. It'll pop up, a couple words and you might tap it. That's the same thing here, except it's capable of doing much larger autocompletes. So you give it a prompt like, hey, give me a story about a redneck wizard. I'm just going to really beat this whole redneck wizard theme home because I want you to go buy my books. Let's be transparent here, um, and it gives you a list of ideas, and then you're like, oh, these are all trash. What if I want? Oh, but that idea was kind of good. So you know, build on that. Um, but it what it is doing is giving what it assumes is going to be the most common needed response. So just keep that in mind whenever you're using these things. It's never going to generate something exceptional because it's going for the lowest common denominator. Um, so just what is artificial intelligence continued? The question is on what is this particular AI trained on? So ChatGPT was trained on sources like Wikipedia, Twitter, and Reddit. They basically fed about 3 billion words, 300 billion words into this thing. Um, and said learn. Uh, there's some more science there. It's a little. There's not just a button where they click learn, but essentially that's what they did. Midjourney, they trained on over 5 billion images scraped from the web without the consent of the original artists. So, to give you uh, data, what is it? Statistics are only as good as the data you put into it, I think is the saying. Let me give you a great example of ChatGPT. Um, they may have fixed this by now, but as of the time that I made this, you could still do it. Um, if you ask ChatGPT, uh, list me a country in Africa that begins with a K, it would say there is no country in Africa that begins with a K, with the letter K. You might think Kenya, but you would be wrong. Okay, clearly that's incorrect. Kenya begins with a K. It is a country in Africa. Why does ChatGPT think that? It's because it was trained on Twitter. And Twitter at the time, the span of time that they were scraping data to train ChatGPT, there was a joke on Twitter where someone would say, "I there is no country in Africa that begins with a K. Prove me wrong." And someone would inevitably come along and say Kenya, and the next person would say, "Can you see these nuts?" Okay, super dumb juvenile Twitter humor. But ChatGPT doesn't know, and it just and it trained itself on that fact. So another thing to keep in mind. Also, you'll see you I've been seeing more and more, and we may talk about this a little bit more later, but more and more things where they also train on the interactions from the users. And guess what? People, or individual people, are brilliant. People as a group are dumb as a box of hammers. Okay, and so what's happening is these models are getting more and more dumb because a bunch of people are going on there and asking really dumb questions. And it is dumbing down the GPTs. It's fantastic. I love it. Um, okay, continuing on. Yeah, just a funny trying to lighten the mood. Look, we're all doomed, so let's have fun while we talk about it. Boop. Okay, ethics around AI use. Here are the ways that this is going to crop up. Do you make your own covers? If you know, where did the component art pieces come from? So, like sites like Pixabay, if you used Pixabay to get images for your book covers, they're getting flooded with AI art. Stock image sites, some of the more popular ones, are also getting flooded with AI art, and there is no like Pixabay does not require that you tag it as AI. So you might go onto a site like Pixabay. Oh, that's a cool image. Grab it, put it on your cover, and it's AI, and you had no idea. Um, did you hire someone to make your covers? Uh, do you know if they're using AI? That's cropping up on Fiverr all the time now. That people are hiring folks off like Fiverr and Upwork. Like, hey, make me a book cover, and they're just using Midjourney to quickly whip up an image. They throw a little text on it, and they send it to you. Um, it's not great. It's not great. Uh, Editing. If you're hiring editors on uh, uh, Fiverr, a lot of them are just running them through things like Pro Writing Aid, which is kind of sort of it's a heavily AI based editing software. So yeah, that's something to be aware of. Has Google or Amazon messaged you to see if you'd like to try their AI voice talent? Um, Amazon has emailed me many times like, hey, we see you have books in Kindle Unlimited. Why don't you turn them into audiobooks? We'll do it for free. Which, if you ever priced uh, audiobook narration, a lot of times it's quite expensive. But that's something that will probably crop up to you. Um, have you had the thought, what if I just asked ChatGPT for the text of a kid's book, then use Midjourney to make the art? I've seen, I know people who have done this. Okay, like, and some of these have made the news. Like, it's very much a thing. So these are kind of common ways you'll see this kind of crop up. Um, there's and there's so many use cases that we can't even begin to imagine. So I used to do a lot of freelance writing through Fiverr, and someone messaged me this. I more or less closed down my account on there, but I left it the account because if you delete your account, you lose your stats. Um, and so I didn't want to lose my stats in case I ever get into a real hard spot and I need to make a little extra money. So someone messaged me, said, hey, Bossman Bob, Fever AI suggested we are a good match, so I'm reaching out. We're looking for our go to writer who will be crafting content for upcoming board games such as slogans, descriptions, and rulebooks. My gig on Fiverr that they were messaging was that you could, and technically you could reach out right now and ask. I'll probably say no, but maybe not. Asking that I do world building and lore for video and tabletop games. So yeah, they used Fiverr to find, or they used Fever AI to say who's the right person for us, and I popped up. Who knew that that was on anyone's radar of a use for AI? Wasn't on mine. I told them no. So what did Fever AI know? um, Sadly, I think narrators have probably already lost the war on this. Audiobook narration is now there will still be a need for translators and some narrators, but unlike some of the other things that AI is starting to affect, there are not enough narrators. Like everyone knows an author, everyone knows an artist, but not everyone knows a voice talent. Um, and so I think a lot of the freelance narrators are probably going to go out of business in the next few years. The moment that Amazon was like, "Hey, we'll do a audiobook of yours for free," that was the moment the war was lost there. Unfortunately, I hope I am proven wrong, um, because here's the other issue: AI narration does have really good use cases out there for accessibility. Like it's a fantastic tool for accessibility, and used ethically, it's really going to change some people's lives for the good. Um, and here's the thing: these companies are going to use that as cloud cover. They're going to be like, oh well, we're doing this for accessibility, and you can't be like, boo, accessibility's bad. Um, so it gives them some cloud cover. Yes, there's going to be people online who are very angry about this, but the vast majority of people are going to hear, oh, yeah, that makes sense. My great uncle can't read, so this reads to him. Or my cousin's blind, and this is a free tool that, sounds really good. Because that's the thing, these narrators, they sound okay now, but they're only going to get better and better and better. Um, so, yeah, if you're looking to get into narration, now's not a great time. Maybe wait and see how it checks out. I really do hope I'm proven wrong, but I really do think the narration has kind of lost the war here. Things to consider. AI art can't be copyrighted. This image here, you know what? I don't. Here's a perfect example. Do I credit this piece of art in any way? No, no, I don't. Don't have to because it was used with. They used AI to generate it, so you can't copyright it. This image got famous because this guy won a art contest, like the Denver State Fair art contest or something like that, and it caused a big stink because he used AI to generate it, and it was not in a AI friendly context, Um, so yeah, can't be copyrighted. You use AI to make your book cover. Someone really likes that book cover, they can throw it on their book, and you can't stop them. Um, AI hasn't been fully legally tested yet. There's a lot of lawyers yet to get involved. Disney is not going to let a lot of this stuff fly. So it's going to take some time for this stuff to move through the courts, but I do suspect that we are going to see some protections put in place. Will they benefit the common man? Who knows? They will definitely benefit corporations because they can afford the big lawyers. Um, but yeah, there are a ton of court cases starting to move through right now. For example, a lot of big name authors have kind of banded together to sue because their novels were used to train ChatGPT, and they got nothing from that. Um, and so you can go to ChatGPT and say, "Hey, um, I can't remember if Stephen King was one of the authors, but let's just assume that he was. Um, uh, Take this romance novel and give me uh, this scene from it as written by Nora Roberts." And because it's been trained on so many words by these authors, it can do that. It could be like, oh, well, Stephen King would have written it this way, but I can look and see how Nora Roberts writes stuff, and now I'm going to rewrite it as Nora Roberts for you. Um, yeah. So we'll see how all this shakes out. I hope I hope that our legal system gets us to a good place, but it's going to take a while. Um, Most technological improvements have traditionally hurt blue collar workers, like robotics, cutting down on the number of factory jobs. But this is the first one to really threaten white collar jobs. There's been things like LegalZoom is really cut into lawyers' business. TurboTax is really cut into accountants' business. So those are little things that have hit certain sectors, but this is one that really is going to affect a lot of folks and further hurt some of these already hurting industries. Um, and that gives me hope, because while politicians up in Congress probably don't have a ton of us hoi polloi, poor folk hanging out, weighing on their conscience, they got a bunch of rich white collar friends, and so they're going to be slightly more motivated to do something about this, to put in some protections to in this space. I hope. Problem is, tech companies have a lot of money and a lot of lobbyists, so it could go either way. Um, so another thing to consider: your interactions are used to train the AI. So if you use it to generate content like story ideas, that content could potentially be used to answer other prompts. Um, Honestly, probably not that big of a concern. Um, because here's the thing: if you're like, hey, give me prompts of redneck wizard books. Let me be clear: I did not do that for my own books. Okay, all the books that are out were all written before I ever touched ChatGPT. Okay, but if you use it to say, hey, give me redneck wizard books, it's going to give you a list of prompt ideas, or a list of ideas. Okay, yes, it could, in theory, use that if someone else asked that same question. It could give the same stuff, but odds are it's not really. Unless you're just feeding in like entire books worth of stuff in there, you're not really at risk of ChatGPT stealing any of your ideas. Really, don't worry about. There's so many other things to worry about. That ain't the thing to worry about. Now, if you are actually using ChatGPT to write a book, first off, shame on you. Second, yeah, I would be concerned then, because one, it's you can't copyright it, and two, um, anyone else could just ask a similar prompt and generate your same book, more or less. Like, don't, 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 don't use AI to write your books. Jesus Christ. Um, so let's get into some blowback examples. Tor attempted to use AI in the cover for the book shown. People aware of it were furious. Tor did not care. That is still the cover. So, but you see the cover there on the left. On the right is the original AI generated image. Basically, their cover designer took that, tweaked it, and made it, and then a lot of very angry people on the internet got real angry, and Tor didn't give a shit and moved on with their life. Here's another blowback example. This cover won the I always struggle to say this, self-published fantasy. See, I cannot say this. This is my white whale. The self-published fantasy blog off, the SPFBO. I do a podcast called Book Spirits Booze with a fellow author named Ben Meeks and our co-host Derek. Um, Ben has actually been in this, so he can always say it right. I've applied, have not gotten in. Um, anyway, this they used to have a cover contest as part of that. But that has now been canceled because this cover won, and it turned out that the cover artist used AI. The author didn't know, um, but oops. So yeah. Uh, here is gosh, here's one. Unethical people are like there's always been a real problem with low content books on Amazon. People just churning out books. Well, AI is making that even easier because now instead of just these low content folks like, oh, I'm going to make a bunch of journals You know, now they're like, oh well, I still don't have to write. I can just use AI to quickly throw some text on there and then throw those up, and I can charge a little bit more for those. So people are churning out AI generated foraging books because foraging is becoming incredibly popular. Um, uh, but yeah, so it's mostly just pirated content. Um, but people have been going through these and finding where these some of these foraging guides have recommended like things that are not safe to eat as safe to eat. Like someone is going to die. Like it hasn't happened yet, but someone is going to die from this, and um, shit's gonna pop off. But yeah, just don't eat veggies. It's what I do. You can see me peak physical condition here. Slim as a sleek as an otter. Yeah, don't eat veggies. This is my favorite. Oh god, I love this so much. A company in Scotland advertised their Willy Wonka interactive experience using ads generated by AI. If you look over on the left, that super magical looking, yeah, that's what they used to advertise it. What they offered are the three pictures on the right. Um, People were so mad that like cops were called. Okay, but hey, no children died, so better than the original outcome. Huh? Huh? But yeah, just imagine the audacity of that is your image. You show up, and they have gone onto Timu and bought a drop cloth with an AI generated image on it, and that's your magical Wonka experience. Oh my god! If I Oh my god, I love it so much. So yeah, cops got called. I don't think that company's in business anymore. Shockingly. Okay, ethical uses for AI as an author. Using AI voices to read your works back to you for editing purposes. Fantastic use case. I know a lot of folks who use. I don't a lot of folks. I know some folks who use Alexa. They'll be like, "Hey Alexa, read me back this," or they find some sort of something to read the book back to them. Because that works well. You can hear like, "Oh, that's an awkward sentence," or stuff like that. The better the voice, the more realistic the voice, the better that's going to work for you. Um, Using programs like Midjourney to generate character images to help you visualize them, that's a really good use case. You're not making you're not profiting directly off that. You're just like, how could this person look? Oh, this is what they look like. I'm going to save that image. Now, anytime I want to describe, I'm 37 books later. What did that person look like? Oh, boom. This is exactly what they look like. Cool. Excellent use. Um, Using programs like ChatGPT to help you brainstorm ideas, that's a good use. Uh, I'll give you an example. I do a lot of indie game design. I love to make little one sheet RPGs. I like to make, I've started making longer games as well. But, a lot of these like one sheet RPGs are roll a d6 to figure out what your, generate your character in like 30 seconds. All right, roll a d6 to see what your class is. Okay, one sheet RPGs, the beauty of them is they can be super niche. All right, because you're not going to play these over months. You're going to play it one time probably. Um, and so I had a case where this game has still not come out, but I wanted to. It will eventually, but it's a game where everyone plays a witch doctor, or not a witch doctor, a plague doctor. With the crow mask, and I could come up with 5 types of magical plague doctors. Could not, for the life of me, come up with a sixth. Went to ChatGPT, said, "Hey, give me a list," and it gave me a bunch of crap. And I was like, "Do it again." Bunch of crap. Do it again. That time is like, oh, okay, that's less crap. I can work with that. So it gave me an idea that I could take. It was not great, but it at least triggered something in my head like, oh, cool, perfect. That'll be my sixth option. You can use it to quickly summarize research articles. Be wary about using it just asking it questions because refer back to uh, countries in Africa beginning with the letter K. Um, but if you feed it in and say summarize, it can do a good job of that. Um, you could use it for transcribing recorded voice notes, like if you're just in your car and like, oh, da 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 da. This is actually for me, shit talking Microsoft at the start of this video. Right now, if you have Microsoft Word, you can, there's a transcribe button. You can input an audio, you can upload an audio file and it will transcribe it for you. So like if you've been making all these recordings in your car, boom, done. Um, a lot of your advanced editing software suites now use AI. Like I said, Pro Writing Aid, Grammarly, things like that. They're using a lot of AI now. I still uh, use those tools, but you should still hire an editor. Okay, just that one. That's my ethics. I will always hire an editor for, getting my books out. Um, hire an editor. But if it's blog posts, stuff like that, you're not going to hire an editor for a blog post. No one hires an editor for a blog post. If they do, fuck, man, give me your money. Um, but yeah, that'd be a good use. Like, okay, I'm just going to run this through Grammarly real quick. I'm going to run this through Pro Writing Aid, just make sure I'm not an idiot. It's what I should do. Do I? No, no. My blog posts are just as grammatically incorrect as ever. Um, here's another interesting use case that I haven't done, but I'm going to. I wrote most of a book in uh, third person. Got like 50,000 words into it. Realized, hey, this needs to be multiple books, and it needs to be first person. So the first like 25,000 words of that became uh, book one with stuff added to it, and I had to go through and painfully edit everything to turn it from third person to first person. It was miserable. I'm That book is done. I'm working on book two now, but on the radar is I got about 25,000 words for book three that I need to do that for. I am absolutely going to see if ChatGPT can fix that for me, rather than me going in and just every sentence by sentence by sentence changing it from, you know, uh, he said this to I said this. Oh my God, this will save me many hours of work. I'm still going to have to go through and fix some things, but I'll have to fix less things. Oh my God. So we'll see how that goes. Um, what might the future look like? Uh, so authors will commonly be using AI to quickly turn up a series Bible. I know this is the case. It's going to be fantastic. I want to do this. May do this soon. But imagine you have your own personal GPT and you just feed your books into it. That's it. It's a GPT with your books. It's only trained on your books. And you'll be able to ask it questions like, let's say you were J.R. Tolkien and you had fed all your stuff into this GPT. You'd be like, "Hey, what hair color does Frodo have?" And it'll quickly come back with an answer. How old is Aragorn? You know, how can I integrate Second Breakfast more fully into my life? It will have answers like that. Um, that is going to be so useful. As a guy who did not start making his series Bible with book one and is now essentially 7 books in and has to go back and do this, it's painful and I hate it. And I have seen that ChatGPT now has it to where you can buy a GPT basically. I think it's like a monthly fee. Um, I'm going to look into it. I want to feed my books into a GPT just so it can answer these kinds of questions. So I don't have to be like, oh shit, I'm bringing back this character from book three. What do they look like? Instead of me having to go flip through book three and find them, boom. Oh my God, it's going to save me so much time. On the corporate level, that same concept is going to look like this. So this is actually a thing. There's a iWatt Productions is the Wheel of Time. The folks like the production company behind the Wheel of Time show and whatnot. They're partnering with a software firm called Disruptive, which is super edgy and replaces the I's with ones because they're elite. And they're creating True Source, which is going to be an LLM based on the Wheel of Time books. Now, how good is this going to be? I don't know how you like on commercially. Are there going to be people lining up to have an app on their phone where they can look up questions about Wheel of Time? Maybe. It will be useful for series Bibles, like as they generate more and more content, and they're bringing in someone like, hey, we want to do a comic. the artist has never read Wheel of Time and does not have time to read 14 doorstopper books. Hey, here is a tool that you can use if you need to know what someone looks like, so you can draw something that matches what the book said. It's going to be a powerful tool there. I don't know how much use it's going to. I feel like the kind of person who goes all in on Wheel of Time to the point that they would want an app is kind of the person that doesn't need the app. But who knows? Who knows? It'll depend on if it's free or if there's a fee. Um, I don't know. Final thoughts. The reality is that eventually AI will become settled law, and there will be ethically sourced AI to some degree. You see this cropping up. ChatGPT is now signing a lot of content deals. They're paying companies for their content rather than just scraping it. The landscape for creatives is going to change dramatically. It may one day be totally socially, morally acceptable to use AI to generate your book covers. So you can't just stick your head in the sand and ignore it, hoping it will go away. It's here to stay. Pay attention. Um, right now, there's a lot of anger towards AI and people who are using it. That said, that anger is really only online that I have seen. Um, I have talked with folks that are using AI. I have some author friends that are, I'm not going to name drop, that are using AI to more degrees than I am comfortable using. I have my ethical code on this, which is if it would put one of my creative friends out of work, I don't use it in that way. So I don't use it for to replace my editor. I don't use it to do covers. To be fair, I make my own covers anyway, but um, I won't always. Eventually, I will have a need to hire a cover designer. Have hired one in the past. I don't. My first audiobook is out. I did not use AI narration for that. I used John Solo. He's awesome. You should go check it out. It's on Audible. Um, but there are folks out there that are using it more so than me. Um, and some of them have caught flack, but I don't see that it's actually hurt their sales. Um, because what I have found, I've ended up doing a lot of research through my podcast into the like authors who've been canceled. Most of them getting canceled doesn't really hurt them that much. It just doesn't, because the kind of folks that are online paying attention to that kind of stuff are not the bulk of their readers. This is the nature of the beast. Folks uh, who are, what do they say, terminally online, yeah, they pay attention to this kind of stuff, but most readers are not that. Um, so, uh, 10 years from now, it may be like, oh, no, 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 no. No one cares that you used AI to do book covers because, you know, this protection was put in place and now something. I don't know. I don't know. I ain't no procrastinator. Um, I'm not a I'm not a real wizard. Um, so who knows what the future will hold? But it could become that is the norm. It's hard out there, and if everyone else is using a tool to make their lives easier and you're still struggling, they're going to get an edge and they're going to muscle you out. It's just the way it is. So pay attention. Use tools in ways that are ethical to get you familiar with them. You never know how things are going to play out. Couple of quotes. AI is not going to take your job. Someone better at using AI than you is going to take your job. Scott Galloway says that. I'm a big fan of Scott Galloway. I I basically hate every talking head, all of them. He's the one that I kind of like. Okay, no, I like him. Um, I saw him speak in person, so I became a fanboy. Anyway, he's got a couple cool podcasts, um, and he's right. Um, I work in IT. Uh, frankly, at least at this point, AI is not good enough to replace programmers. Okay. But if there's a programmer using AI to generate code more quickly, um, and that person can do two people's jobs worth of work, yeah, someone's going to lose a job. It's not going to be them. Um, so, and then this other quote: "We're all doomed, you know, the whole silly, drunken, pathetic lot of us." Yeah, we are. You know, we're all doomed. You know, AI. You know, earlier I did the Terminator picture in there. You know, there's every chance in the world that AI kills us somehow in the next decade. You know, who knows? Just try and have fun with it along the way. Um, yeah. Uh, Questions. Normally this would be where I'm at an event and they'd be like start asking me questions. Obviously you can't do that in this moment, but you can absolutely comment down below. I will answer, or you can go to my website TalesbyBob.com. Yay, TalesbyBob.com. There's a contact form there. You can hit me with questions. You can find me on social media, Tales by Bob, Facebook, Instagram, that stuff. But yeah, so this is on my YouTube channel. It's where you're probably watching this, but it'll also be hosted on my website along with the PDF of the PowerPoint. Um, yeah, I think that's everything. I think that's all I needed to say. Um, yeah, go buy my Redneck Wizard books. What? Jubal County Saga, Bob Magoo. What? All right. Cheers.